because of the conversations that we'll continue having. I am your host, Wea Kalondunge, and we'll continue empowering the women that are here and the ones that we will continue to do so. As you know, the slogan for She Leads is She's Empowered, She Empowers. So hopefully you're going to be doing just that as you're leaving this room, right? Before we get into our panel discussion for this afternoon, ladies and the gentlemen that are here, I'd like you to welcome, she did a poem earlier on as we got started with today's program. So she would like to now sort of bring herself to light so you can see her and feel her. Her name is Samantha, and she leads in poetry.
I've been practicing to greet you guys. So, ongepi? I don't know if I must say onawa again. Okay, so I'm going to formally introduce myself, but thank you so much, MC. My name is Samantha Mungwe from South Africa. I am, I'm a poet, I'm an artist, I'm a leadership, I'm a qualified teacher. Yes, I'm a she leads in everything. Amen. But I'm going to do a poem in isiZulu. So isiZulu is my language. So when I was sitting there, I was sitting behind because I'm even tiny, and I was listening to these powerful speakers here, African queens, and I was like, oh my God, right? And I remembered that I wrote a poem about me achieving a degree as a first graduate at home from both my father's and my mother's side. And, and yes, I wrote a poem about that. So I'll be saying this poem in isiZulu, so it's just me talking about my journey and all these other things. And I will add a little bit of English, and then hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Can we start the song, please? I don't know if I can. Woman on top. Oh, okay. So stop a little bit, Gangan. I want to teach you something. Now, this is very important in this poem. So this poem asks a question: what do I have in my hand? And I respond, I have a degree in my hand. So in isiZulu ngithi umbuzo uthi uphethe nesandleni, and I respond ngiphethe I-degree esandleni. So ask, uphethe nesandleni? And then let's say it as you know. Umbuzo uthi uphethe nesandleni? Nice. Okay. We can start. Umbuzo uthi uphethe nesandleni, ngiphethe degree esandleni. Ngafika e-university ngathi ngizozama, namhlanje ngizami luThixo uvumeni. Ubunzima ngibuzwile, kanzima ngifundile, ngilala ngokudla amathambo engqondo kuthe noma abazali behambile azange ngalahla imbeleko, ngokufelwa ethembeni ngihlalile, ngiphethe degree esandleni. Impilo inzima bafethu, kodwa mina ngiyanifisela uma bakha abazali besaphile engathi uThixo engabagcina beze beyibona imizamo yakhe izala impumelelo ze ungaphela amandla ukhumbule impilo ayinamngani, ngiphethe degree esandleni. Kuthi windli yegagu yanetha, kuyangimangaza ukuthi eyasekhaya inetha kanjani, ngoba wami ugogo bengelona igagu, okusalayo ngiphethe degree esandleni. And to you beautiful African queens, this is what I leave you with. Our mandate is clear. As we rise, may we continue to remember that we must lift others. Let us fix each other's crowns, and let us not forget that this is what we're going to do together. Let us not be divided, because they will conquer us. Together we can achieve more. As a South African queen, this is what I've learned: that never provoke for the sake of provoking, but never ever be silent out of fear that the truth you may speak might provoke. Umbuzo uthi uphetheni esandleni? Ngiphethe degree esandleni. Ngiyabonga.
There you have it. She leads in poetry, she leads in spoken word. That is Samantha, and this Samantha, dynamite that thank you so much, right? And I hope today, launching the She Leads the Namibian division, you are reminded that you don't have to be famous, but we are reminded that you have to be great, because greatness is done by serving, all right? And that's what we need reminded of, that wherever you are, in whatever sector you are, you can be of service, right? Service to one, service to five, service to three, service to 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. Wherever you are, serve and serve diligently in all that you do. Now, the next round of our panels have done just that, serving in their different sector and leading in those different sectors. All right, so as I call out your portfolio, or just celebrate that. That's exactly what we're celebrating today. Our first panelist for our discussion this afternoon, ladies, she is a member of the National Assembly of the Republic of South Africa. You can join ours as well. Chairperson of the Science and Technology Parliamentary Committee, with to the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, Science and Technology. She's the youngest woman on the branches of the African National Congress in the National Assembly of the South African Parliament. All right, she is a former youth representative on the Presidential Gender Review Committee on Women Empowerment and Gender Equality, appointed by President Cyril Ramaphosa in 2019. It is an honor, it is a pleasure to have you here. She leads in the South African National Assembly, Honorable Nophendulo. Please join us on stage and take your rightful place just from that side. It's such an honor to have you here. For we got you. So our next panelist, I call her Leah the Slayer with her hands. She's a professional hairstylist, owner, and lead stylist of Leah Hair Couture. Nominated for Hairstylist of the Year award at the Couture Fashion Week 2019. Featured creative of the BBC Africa Host COVID Fashion Narrative. Winner of Fashion Peach Night Stylist category 2021. And stylist of Miss Namibia in 2018, 2019, and 2020. Leah, where are you? Come, slave. She leads in business. Our next panelist for this afternoon, I think when we watch her channel, we think like we could just have her house just like hers. We can only but wish and lead by her example as she shares the content. She's a lawyer by profession, having graduated from the University of Namibia, specialized in the law of civil works as a legal researcher at the Ministry of Justice, founder of Caribou Events, Caribou Flowers, and Caribou Home. Florist, stylist, interior stylist, content creator, and YouTuber. She leads in business with TV Jacobs. don't you bring in flowers first? Our next panelist is a clinical psychology and German study student at the University of Namibia. National Secretary of Gender and Social Welfare for the Namibian National Students Organization, self-published author of a memoir and anthology titled What About Advocacy, Female Psychology and Medical Health Advocate, having facilitated and volunteered and worked with several Namibian feminist organizations and an educational tutor. She leads in sexual reproductive health rights. Thrive, girl. Come here. Join us in stage. We celebrate you. Awesome. Our next panelist is the founder of New Elementary Namibia, which aims to provide equality, early childhood education, and likewise development for children. Was selected as the Queen's Young Leader, highly recommended runner-up by the Royal Commonwealth Society. Worked for different agencies within the United Nations Office in Namibia, where she's cultivated interest in international development cooperation and in global governance, and developed competency in digital communication, have designed, produced early program childhood development content for television, radio, and social media, holds a honors degrees in law, LLB honors, and development in paralegal studies from the University of Namibia, community development enthusiast with over 7 years in the field of experience, volunteered as teacher at a children's center in one of Britain's informal communities back in, as of rather, 2012. Woo! She leads in child education and development. So with yourself on this stage. Woo! And ladies, our last panelist who's joining us virtually will be able to hear her but not see her. But either way, we're glad to have her virtually. She serves in the office of the presidency of the Republic of Namibia, presidential advisor rather on youth matters and enterprise development, commissioner of the National Planning Commission. Um, University of Cape Town's graduate of business, and also was selected to be an Obama leader in the leadership development program by the former U.S. President Barack Obama, and dedicated to contributing to Namibia's broad-based empowerment, deepening, on democracy as well as social economic transformation. She leads in national youth matters and enterprise development. We have virtually Desiree Matthias. And our moderator, the lovely founder of She Leads. Please join your panelists on stage. Yeah? Yeah, all right. So here we go, ladies. A round of applause for our panelists.
Testing, testing. 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 Share this one.
Um, Good afternoon, guys. Okay, it sounds weird. Can you guys tell that we are with an honorable? The second segment has masks. And I'm like, hey, shucks. How do I deal with all of this? But it's fine. Thank you so much for coming. We are really honored to have you here. Yeah. Thank you so much for also joining us for the second session. In my language, it's zizobuya, ziabuya, meaning that it's about to go down and it will be nice. I'm not sure. This thing is. I don't think I'm as audible as I'd like. Okay, sure. We have Desiree online. Can she maybe test her mic so that we know if we can hear?
Hi, I'm here and I can hear you clearly. I hope you can hear me.
Clear. Very clear. Okay. So I'll like to inform our panelists that Desiree will be leaving soon. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to first pose questions to her so that if she needs to leave, she can. And I think one of the key questions to break the ice, which is what I did in the morning, was to ask, does Africa have a leadership crisis? And I'd like to pose that to you, Desiree. Do you think that Africa has a leadership crisis?
Hi, good afternoon, Stembiso, Lucia, and maybe before I proceed to answer the question, I should begin by congratulating you for the collaboration for creating the Namibia chapter of She Leads. I remember when we met earlier this year and you briefed me on your work and the initiative that you've taken for the South African women, and I was highly impressed. So, of course, today to hear that you are launching the Namibia chapter is good news and something that I embrace, and I've made sure to provide my support by being present to endorse this important initiative. I bring greetings from Accra. I'm in Ghana at the moment. And while I was here, I was having conversations and I was being told of the story of one phenomenal historical figure, a Ghanaian woman who goes by the name of Ya Asentewa. And she is a big figurehead because she was a warrior. She's a woman who was a military commander. She led an army of men in battle during colonial oppression, and she counted victory after victory. And I think to answer your question, Ya Asentewa was a Black African woman who was able to rise up in her time at a time where women were not typically occupying those spaces of political, military rule and leadership, but she was able to defy, I think, the social constructs at the time and occupy such a peculiar place. I do not think that Africa has a scarcity of leaders. I do not think that we have a leadership crisis in the essence that there are no leaders. I think that the people who should be leading have not fully risen up to take their space in providing solutions. And I'm a big proponent about leadership at different levels of society. I believe that you have to lead yourself first. You have to be able to provide leadership in your home and family setting, to provide leadership in the classroom and the varsity campus, in your street and community, before you get into national, local, regional structures and continental leadership roles. There was also, I'm here with doing some work on young people and reviving a truly Pan-African youth movement. And we were having conversations about the role of diversity and whether diversity is complicating Africa's ability to foster a common identity, whether diversity is undermining our ability to pull in the same direction. And we were drawing contrasts between Africa and in this lifetime, in this generation, they transformed a desert into an oasis. If you look at the Jews and their ability to unite and pull together, it leaves a lot to question why we're finding our issues of development as a continent more challenging. Africa is the most prosperous, is the fastest growing. By 2040, we are going to, every third person in the world is going to be African. It really begs the question why we're not able to solve our own problems as Africans. And I do think that diversity makes it more complex. I do think that diversity, it's easier to rally people who have a common faith, common language, common values, common identity. And these are not common for diverse nations where we have got such a multitude of different faiths, beliefs, and religions. So to answer the question very briefly, I think that we do need more moral, ethical leaders in Africa. I do think that there is room for. I do think that there has been waves of leadership, and we've gone as a continent, from military rule to revolutionaries to our share there of corruption and greed. And the crisis is not in the scarcity of leadership, but rather the quality of the leaders that we have. Let me stop there for now.
Sure. So the issue
It's not scarcity, it's the quality. Before I let you go, because I don't know when you will leave us, so as we appreciate your presence for now, I have another question. I know that you lead in development and like you have a lot of experience in that. Part of She Leads, or what we want to achieve, is basically to provide a platform where young women can come with solutions for Africa. So poverty is one of them. And I know that with the experience you have, maybe you might have tapped into this.
In trying to come up with a solution. How do we solve the issue of poverty in Africa? As young women.
So something has happened and your voice has cut off.
Okay, I'll repeat. I'm saying She Leads is like a platform for young women to come with solutions for Africa. And one of the problems Africa faces is that we experience poverty, or we have poverty-stricken areas.
And in coming with a solution, because I know that you lead in development, how do we as young women or women in the continent solve the issue of poverty in Africa?
So that's the million-dollar question, and I think that we can form part of the solution. If I had to personify Namibia demographically, she would be a 21-year-old black female living in remote rural Namibia. And I think if we want to solve the problem of poverty, we have to address the issues that are shackling, that are limiting the potential of a 21-year black old woman living in rural Namibia. And these are things that have to do with her level of education, that have to do with her sexual reproductive health, that have to do with HIV/AIDS, that have to do with her ability not only to earn a livelihood that is dignified, but actually to become an owner and a manager of a productive economic asset. It's about empowerment so that we can achieve transgenerational wealth. I have a very big empathy point for women who are raising mothers alone, because they face extra burdens and limitations that can really sit back and limit their ability to achieve their fullest potential. Women who are raising children alone tend to raise children in suboptimal homes on a single income, and it becomes a generational poverty trap because these children are not able to get the best access that they could have simply because of the limitations of their single parent. And this perpetuates the poverty cycle. So I am increasingly advocating for the economic empowerment of women as a solution to not only generational poverty, but social transformation. Our president talks about social progress, inclusive growth, shared prosperity. And I assert very firmly with conviction that if we do not provide the resources, which is education, health, and economic instruments, keys for her to access economic opportunities, we are not going to be able to solve the challenge of generational poverty.
Sure, that's deep. And I think, thank you so much. With all that Desiree said, it requires, so what I normally say is to say that we are a different type of generation, a different breed. And in order to make sure that our work will be effective and it will remain there, we need to groom others. And Helena, you specialize in education and child development. What is the role of young women, basically, in ensuring that the younger women are groomed, in order to make sure that the work that we are doing now is not in vain and that it lasts forever?
I'll take this off to be a bit more audible. Thank you for that question. I think that that's a twofold question with multiple answers, so it's a multifaceted question. I particularly am invested in the early childhood development space. So education is part of early childhood development. It has different components to it. Because I fundamentally believe that it is one of the avenues that have the most potential to allow a country to meet its developmental aspects long term. Unfortunately, it's not taken on as seriously as it is because I guess the industry doesn't yield fast enough investments. I mean, return on investments. However, it is no secret that the demand for burgeoning economies is greatest in rural areas. It's greatest in informal communities. And that is unfortunately where most of our children also are. So not only just from, statistically and just factually speaking, the people who are most invested in trying to bridge the gap between, the widening gap of poverty is women. You see it in early childhood development centers. It's a woman running around. You see it at, open markets. It's a woman running around. So it's like women and economies, they're kind of, there's a very strong relationship, between the two. So in order to have younger children, and not just younger girl children, but younger, male children as well, because they are equally, responsible towards, the development of economies moving forward. I think we need not only place the responsibility and the burden of development in rural areas on women alone per se. It is more trying to have them understand the importance of their role and then inviting, everyone else to the table. So essentially with early childhood development, it's quite distinct because it is a very unique window of opportunity, and it is the fact that it's women who have been the most progressive and the most involved in that area. So when we say she leads, it goes beyond just, it goes beyond, I almost don't have the words to say it because it's almost as if she leads everywhere. It's just the unfortunate thing is that she's just not recognized in her leadership because we've been conditioned and programmed to think that leadership looks a certain way. It looks like this. You can only be in leadership if you are dressed this way and if you are working in this building and if you are recognized by this person. We don't see leadership in maintaining and running early child development centers. We don't see leadership in community health programs, for example. We don't see or recognize it as leadership, which is quite unfortunate. So moving forward, I feel like it is important for women to understand that, to understand and not underestimate their role in especially rural areas and communities, because unfortunately that is where the demand is at its most. So yeah, I think it's also, coming from an understanding perspective. So I'll leave it at that.
I like how the discussion has just gone through. We are now discussing all things economy. Are you an economic participant? You know? And with that said, in our panelists, we have businesswomen, right? And it makes me wonder. A lot of people will see Leah, who has already achieved a lot, but they don't know what you go through on a daily. And I would like for us to tap into that. What are some of the challenges that you find as a woman in business? Because at this point, I'd like to believe everyone has challenges in business, but as a woman. Because the reason why I keep emphasizing young women, it's not for me to exclude men, but I want to speak in particular to your issues, and so that we as a collective can come with solutions, so that when you walk out here, you understand your role in society. So what I'd like to know to you, Leah, what are some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you conquer them?
Can I have a sanitizer? I have one of my bad t-shirts.
Testing one. Testing one.
Good afternoon. My name is Leah Gwinji. I'm originally from Zimbabwe. So I moved here 2007 because of everything that was going on back home. So as a foreigner coming into a new environment, you are already in a survival mode because you have to provide. I got married at 21. Where I come from, it's normal. It's very, very normal. I'm 17 years in marriage, as you see. So fast forward how I started doing hair. My auntie had a salon at home. As we all know that in Africa we are very creative. We do it where we are, really. So I was 8 years old. She will be doing her braids. Everybody, she will be forcing me to come finish them down. So with that, I believe she planted or she groomed the seed that was already inside me. Fast forward, finished school, my O-level. Life happened. I got married. Then we moved here because of the economic situation back home. Coming here, culture shock, everything is different, but you have to provide. I didn't get any technical training, but I just had that my auntie that put inside me. My husband is educated, but to secure a job, he couldn't. And I've realized that people who are book smart, they really can't switch to that. Yeah. So I had to be the provider for years. But I did domestic work for many years. I sold ice because bills have to be paid. We have to provide for the family. Fast forward, life happened again. I continued in the hair industry, continued hustling, continued until I met one woman I was cleaning houses for. She's into real estate, so she gets flats. She'll call you to come clean them up, and then she sells them. So she asked me in a car, I know you are here to survive. What is it that you really want to do? Then I told her I want to do hair. She said, oh, I have a salon in town. You should come. So I didn't know while I was cleaning her flats that she was checking how am I cleaning. So when I got to her office, to the salon, I thought I was going to clean the salon. She just said, because you cleaned my houses the way I really like, I'm going to make you an assistant manager. It was a shock when I called my husband. He was like, how are you sure? I'm like, I'm an assistant manager. But with that, the type of setting of the salon that she owned, it's exactly what I would love to have. It was a beautiful salon owned by a black woman, hardworking. So with that, the senior hairdressers, they would send me, do this, do that, do that, do that, do that. And then I told the lady, you know what, I don't want to be behind the desk. I actually want to learn to do hair. She said, okay, fine, but I'm not going to increase your salary. It's just going to remain. So with that, that's how I started learning, learning, and learning, and learning. Still, the little money I am making is providing for the whole family. So growth is really hard because whatever you're getting, you have to spend it. And you are far from home. No one can help you. You understand? So it continued until I got tired. I got tired. So I decided, let me just start my own thing. I started my business with 1,200. I went to Clicks, bought my hairdryer, bought my brushes. I started. But with that, I believe God was just training me because I didn't have to go to university to go and do business management. Sometimes you are thrown in the field. So I was running the business, still working in the business. The first one in, the last one out. Until today, I do it. My people are here, they can testify. I'm the first one, 5 a.m., I'm in the salon. 10 p.m., I'm leaving, I'm going home. I'm still a wife, a mother of a toddler and a teenager. Yes. Sure. So for me, the challenges were there many. First, I'm not from here.
Sure.
That alone, I'm not from here. You need to make relationships. So every relationship I go into, I keep it. The people I cleaned houses for, they are my clients today. So you keep relationships. These burning bridges, no, I can do whatever, it will burn you later on. So for me, because this is the only chance I have, I just have to keep it. Challenges will be there, no matter what. The little money, I think I got $800. To pay rent, to buy food. So you have to smile extra for clients to tip you. So you have extra for taxi. So when I started my business, there was one time I could only work one day, Saturday. The whole week I'll come and sit in the salon, no client. And I still have to pay my chair. I still have to pay rent. I still have transport. How I came out of that, only God knows. So with that vigorous training I went through, it was building me up, I believe, because I have no one to blame. I can't be pointing fingers like, no, because of the government, how things are being run. It's my life at the end of the day. So it's to carry your crown, your thorns, your things with, and everything will just work out. Fast forward, I prayed to God, I want my own salon, just a space. Because I have a vision of how I want my things to be. And it doesn't come easy also. A lot of praying, a lot of working, polishing the skill. Now we are under pressure as the 80s kids. There's internet. You have to learn a style now. They just bring pictures. They are here, they do that to me. Like this, and I have to, Yvonne, move fast so that I don't lose her. Because losing clients is very easy. But I think with the vigorous training that I got, that harsh, that boiling water that I went through, it came out pretty well. I actually upgraded in COVID. Got my things, my beautiful things in COVID. COVID is not a hurdle for me.
Sure.
God made me realize that it's not.
Did you hear that?
I'm
COVID
already.
is not a hurdle.
It's not for me. I'm speaking personally. For me, it's not, because even in COVID, clients will send me money.
Sure.
They will bring their wigs at my house. Just wash, I'll come pick up. Fully booked. There's no day I'm not fully booked.
Sure.
But there were years I would work one day. At one time, I would cry in the taxi.
Sure.
Going home, my husband is home, my child is home. But I'll wake up and go to work again.
Perseverance. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sure Musindi, you can relate. You can. And what I realize is that both of you are businesswomen and you are mothers as well. There's someone I know, when we hosted the first She Leads in SA, she was the MMC at the time. And what she always says is that, like in her bio, I'm a mother. And that must be known. So what I would like to know is, how do you balance? How do you balance being a mother, being a businesswoman? You're even a law graduate, a lawyer, you know? And I think the reason I'm saying a law graduate is because I am as well. So, you know, I'm throwing myself in, making it relatable. But how do you balance? Because I'm sure with the viewers at home and everyone who's here, they might want to do the most. Do business, or other people think they only need to do one thing. But what I always say to people, you can actually be a jack of all trades and a master of all. So how do you balance?
A lawyer that can't switch on a mic, the irony. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. As introduced, I'm Tindi Lydia Jacobs. You know that question, who takes after my kids sometimes? I've got a good nanny who also understands that sometimes my husband and I need to work late and she needs to put the kids to bed. So the support system is there. And I want to encourage other women who are also multi-hyphenates. The term is multi-hyphenate when you are this and that and that and that. We are no longer just Mutindi mother or Mutindi lawyer. I'm multi-hyphenate and I embrace it. Make sure that you don't spread yourself too thinly. There is no shame in asking for help. There is no shame in delegating. And I think we as women also need to stop shaming each other for seeking help. Yeah? There's no shame in it. And yeah, just the notion that we have to balance it and that it's perfect. Get that out of your minds. It's not. It's messy. There are times where I can't, when my husband has to take it over. There are moments where my mom has to step in, and postpartum depression is a real thing. Stress at work is a real thing. There are times where I just don't want to deal with my business, and there are times where my business suffers, but then my home life is thriving. Then there are other times where my home life is suffering.
because I'm not spending there enough time and not giving enough time to my children, and my business is thriving. So there's never a perfect balance. One, I mean, we are human, guys. We're not machines. So one way or the other, one will always suffer, but you need to be intentional about how you want to improve on the different aspects of your life, and you need to be intentional about, okay, I haven't taken my son to bed in a while. Let me make sure that this week I do that, you know. I haven't done the media, I haven't done my books in a while. Let me sure that I make that time to do that this week. So it's a give and take. Thank you.
Sure. I think as we are talking about being a mother, right? A lot of people have a tendency of policing women's bodies. And sometimes being a mother means like you need to be mentally and emotionally prepared that once you give birth, you'll see a different type of your body or a different side of you, right? And others never get an opportunity to become mothers, right? And in the plight of GBV again, where women are raped, I'd like to ask you, Thrive, because I know that you believe in reproductive rights. How do we fight being policed as women? Because now policies are being made on our behalf. There are states where even today they are not allowed to abort. So even if you are raped, you are compelled to stay with the child you never wanted. So how do we fight that as women? How do we become there for each other through policy making?
Thank you so much for that question, Stembiso. I am really a firm believer that policy needs to meet implementation and protest and all of these things that we do. So while, yes, the first thing that we do when we are seeing that there's a rise in GBV cases or we want our reproductive health rights, we take to the streets. But that needs to be met by policy, and that needs to be met by effective implementation. Otherwise, it's null and void if all we do is take to the streets, but our papers aren't changing, the way we think aren't changing, the way our homes are set up isn't changing. If we don't meet those three pillars, for me, I think we'll then be able to really drive the change that we need. And in terms of policing our bodies, I think this is my body. I can do with this body what I want, no matter what anybody else has to say about that. And I think it's quite sad that time and time again, our bodies become a matter of political ground. It becomes a matter of, can I do this or not with my body? And as a woman, I think I should be able to choose. Do I want a child or do I not? Do I want to carry this pregnancy to term or do I not? Do I want to wear this booty short or do I not? You know, all of these things, I should be able to do these things, but then time and time again, we are political grounds. Rape is a political matter. And you're just like, this is my body. All I'm asking you is not to take from my body when I don't want to, you know? And then it's such a controversial thing. People don't understand why the Shut It All Down movements were taking place. People don't understand why the reproductive health right movement is taking place now in Namibia. When actually what women are asking for is just the right to do with mine what I want. And I think that's quite saddening because again and again, we are being policed. You're being told you can't do this, you need to do that. As a woman, no. You just want, the right to be able to do with yours what you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're speaking about implementation, and what I love is that whenever we have an idea of what policies we need and what needs to be implemented or how it should be implemented, we have an honorable member here. And I think people don't know some of the difficulties you face in implementation, because you alone might want to see the change, but you depend on everyone else to actually agree on it. How do you then still pursue them to do it? How do you stand on the behalf of everyone who wants a specific thing to get done, and you believe in it. But when you get there, they tell you, no, chill, Chan. We'll get to that. We have other issues.
Right. Thank you so much, Ste, and good afternoon to everybody, and everyone on the virtual platform, and everyone on